Hey folks, I kind of avoid these basswood jobs. Um, I picked up this one thinking it was ash because of the pattern there. If you can see, it's a trans finish and has sort of this ash pattern on it, which is not. They say it's basswood with a solid basswood top when I looked up the specs, but it certainly doesn't look typical. But anyway, it's surprisingly nice sounding. I had intended today to do a video about a Kadence guitar. And if you follow the trends or you search Amazon or eBay fairly often, you'll see Kadence is just sort of all over the place now. Kadence with a K. I think I reviewed one of their ukuleles a while back. I've been trying to get their cheap guitars to see, if they're worth it. I've now got 3 and returned them all. And you know me, I don't return things if I can fix them. I mean, a lot of times I get stuff that other people would return, but because I can do, work on guitars, I'll fix them and keep them. But every single one of these Kadence guitars was warped beyond worth messing with. The one I got was so backbowed yesterday, and then when I managed to straighten the neck a little bit, it was really severely kinked at the body joint, and I just couldn't get it to play. So I boxed it back up and returned it, and I think I'm done. And I don't out companies very often, but I tell you what, I've tried to give them a chance, and they have failed 3 times in a row on different models of guitars. So I think I'm done. I think that's enough of an opportunity to impress me. So I did the same thing for this company. This is JM Finger. Kind of a odd, yeah, it's JM Finger. Kind of an odd name. I don't know if Mr. Jack Mark Finger is the proprietor of the company or not. You never know with some of these names. Obviously this is Chinese or Asian. Yeah, it's Chinese. So probably they're looking for a name they think that will sound trustworthy for people to buy. And JM Finger doesn't exist. I have no idea. But anyway, it's slightly thinner profile. Very, very slightly thinner profile. With this trans black finish. It's a teakwood board, so it's like a pressed situation, sort of looks rosewoodish. You could be fooled. And the rest is rather standard. You've got the phosphor brown strings, probably not the Dario, something different. With this teakwood bridge, if you can see, it looks like paper resin. What do they call that? Ebonol or something, which isn't necessarily bad, and the basswood actually sounds decent on this. It's got a decent tone for a $120 guitar. But the thing about this that I like is it comes to me, I get it out of the box, the action's a little bit high. There are a couple of sharp fret ends, not many for this guitar. It's got slightly rolled edges, so in this price range I normally have to do a lot of grinding, a lot of beveling on the fret ends. This one, not so much. For action a little high, but the saddle was really high, so I cut the saddle down. Now it's fine, and that's the best you're gonna get when you buy a $70, $80, $90, $100, $110 guitar on eBay or Amazon. The best you can hope for is you get it out of the box and there's only a couple of piddly things you have to do. Either a fret end that's sharp or 2, a little sanding on the saddle because it's a little high usually, sometimes low, and sometimes a truss rod tweak. This is straight, it slopes off at the end, but it's straight, so I didn't have to do that. So compare that with my experience with the Kadence guitars, which are exactly the same price. And so far, these guys are 1 for 1. Now, they do these in a natural, and they do this in various colors. I've seen a sky blue one. They all have this sort of translucent black finish with this sort of ash pattern coming through. I guess it's basswood, if that's what they say it is. I don't know if it has some sort of treating to give it that finish, or if that's just a natural figure coming through the finish, even on the neck. You can see there the translucent. It feels good. It feels nice. It's set up easy. It's kind of light. I'd have no problem. Recommend this to a kid to start out. If a mom or a dad comes to me and they only have $120, they get this. They get a really decent gig bag, pretty decent gig bag, and they get a bag full of accessories, including a guitar hanger, so you can hang it on the wall. So that's interesting. Normally people try to squeeze stands in, but these guys went with a hanger. Picks, capo, clip-on tuner, strap, that kind of thing. So I have to say that so far, these guys, in my one look at their product, are so far ahead of Kadence, who I've given up on. And even Glary. Glary, I wasn't 1 for 1. I mean, it took me, 3 or 4 experiences with Glary, to come up with one I really liked. And even then, I wasn't as wildly enthusiastic about that company as other people have been. But there again, I just looked at the acoustics. I haven't delved into the electrics yet, which people are telling me to do. Which I may do at some point. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you this JM Finger. I'm not sure if there's a model number on this. It's a rather long one, size 41 inch. I can see in there. Yeah, it's a really long model number. It's 44 CF is the end of it. But anyway, this all basswood, solid basswood guitar is all right. I think you can pick these up, I think around $100 on Amazon. They fluctuate, so if you watch them, you can get them as cheap as 80, 90, or as much as 120. And if you could do a little bit of setup, so far, these are fairly safe, where some of the other competitors, I don't like the odds. I don't like the return percentage as much. There are certain brands that are now on my blacklist, just because I've had too many bad experiences, and I get tired of returning the guitars and then waiting to spend my credit on something else. And that's been the case for now Kadence. I stopped buying Rogue guitars because I had too many bad ones. And there are a few other companies, and these might get there. If I get another one and it's bad, I might have to change my opinion. But so far, this is all right. And I see these selling quite well, and they work. There's nothing worse than getting a guitar, especially if you don't know how to set one up. Pull it out of the box, it just doesn't play. I couldn't believe the state of that Kadence guitar when I pulled it out of the box and tuned it up. The strings were flat on the fretboard. It was so backbowed, and the frets were rusted and the strings were rusted. It had been sitting in a warehouse for possibly years, with obviously under poor conditions. And when I ordered it and it was the turn for that guitar to be shipped out, no one looked at it. No one pulled it out. I mean, what would it take for the person packing the order to pull it out, look at it, maybe steel wool off the rust of the strings and the frets, make sure that the neck is playable. They don't do that. They just ship it out to you. And I can't imagine what it would be like for some young kid ordering their first guitar, to pull that out of the box and have that be their first experience. It's maddening. It really is. This is the case with this one. Is different. You did need to be adjusted. It was too high. It was too hard to play. I've got to be honest. But all I had to do is trim down that saddle, basically, take about 1.5 millimeters off that saddle, which again, you know, somebody's not going to be able to do, but hopefully they know someone or can take it to a shop where they could do that for them and set this thing up fairly easy. I like the rolled edges as well. Very little protrusion, very little sharpness. Night and day with that other experience. So JM Finger guitars. If you want a cheap camping guitar or guitar for your 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid and you don't know if they're going to take it up or not, you know, this isn't a bad way to go. It comes with all the accoutrements that you need. It's not altogether ugly too. That sort of translucent black finish is rather nice, and it is sort of light. It's not heavy, and they do say that the top is solid, which seems to give it a reasonable tone as well. So I'm sure it could be improved with better strings, possibly a, you know, bone nut and all that if you want to put that into it. But as is with the setup, pretty decent. All right, folks. See you on the next one.